My entire family stopped speaking to me several years ago, and I have no idea why. That's not true. I have many ideas, but none of them make any sense. I was about to get married, but it wasn't like they had a problem with my wife. It had something to do with the fact that nobody from my family would be coming because they have no friends. I mean, literally, my parents have no friends. They can barely leave the house, and whatever's left of their family doesn't speak to them anymore for reasons I never understood. And I'd just written a play that was the closest thing to an autobiography I'd done, and my brother was in the hospital again, God knows why exactly. Depression, mostly. He hadn't spoken to all of us in years, which was okay with me because, like everybody else in my family, I suppose, I had just been hoping that I could forget that he'd ever existed. Maybe he was why this was all happening. Reminding my family what had happened several years ago when I was 12 and he was 17. One Tuesday afternoon in February, I was walking up the driveway when I noticed him coming around the corner of the house with his back all pressed with snow and his hair all pressed with snow. And I thought it was so funny that he wasn't wearing a jacket or shoes. He was barefoot. And by funny, I mean disturbing. I've told this story 1,000 times, I hardly feel it. He had jumped out of a window, I later learned, and fallen 3 stories without breaking a bone in his body. And that night, my mother cried in my arms and said this was a secret we would keep to our graves. I developed numerous compulsions, including hand washing and counting and scrupulosity, which is a fear of sin in word or thought or deed. I was afraid to leave the house, to touch any surface, but I hid it so well that nobody noticed. I was class president. I played baseball, soccer. I wrote secret poetry. And then eventually I got out and I went to college, and things coasted along as well as they can in a family with an inexplicably cruel father and masochistic mother who can't stop talking about nothing. Logorrhea is the clinical term, I think, until one weekend when I came home for a visit just before I was about to get married. And my father told me I looked homeless. My beard and my hair, when in fact I really just looked like every other adjunct professor in writing. But they said that I looked like a man who would slit his own throat soon. They said that I looked just like my father's brother, a man who had disappeared right after I was born. He was tall, funny, had long hair, barefoot in jeans. He was a hippie and some kind of artist. They said that I was the spitting image of this man, the total opposite of my father. And they were terrified for this reason. There are things you don't know. My father kept saying to me without explaining to me exactly what it was that I didn't know. My mother and my father, they were both shouting at me because like it was sexual. There are things you don't know. And I drove away and I never heard from them again. They are dead to me, and I don't mean that in a melodramatic way. I mean that I can't remember them. And by memory, I mean feel. It's like my entire life up until I was 33 happened to someone else. I have no pictures of my childhood. Someone else who's haunting me, who makes me feel cursed. Makes me feel certain that yes, they're right, I failed. Something is wrong with me. I don't know what it is, but yes, something is wrong. I've failed. I've failed. I failed. I've failed. Only writing and running helps a little bit. I sit at my computer, compulsively clicking this button like a lab rat that shows me who's visiting my website. And it doesn't tell me who's visiting exactly, but it says what city or town on a map of the entire world it's coming from. When I said they don't talk to me, that wasn't true. I can tell my mother checks my website at least once a day, sometimes twice. It's a compulsion, I know, but still I like seeing the dots on the map, but it's nothing. It's nothing to complain about. It's the sort of thing everybody has. And nothing compared to the unspeakable acts of cruelty that you have seen, Paul.